Martha Louise Hendren was born on August 22, 1945, as the 13th of 14 children and the youngest girl. I know very little about her early childhood, but I've heard stories of the chaos she got up to with her siblings, like trying to jump a fence on the back of Roger's bike. If I remember correctly, she made it over, but Roger didn't. She was so much younger than the older half of her generation, so anyone around her age or younger in a childhood photo is most likely a niece or nephew, of which she had many, as we all know. By the time she got to high school, she starts to resemble the person I remember. She was a student librarian and she sang in the chorus. She was also a part of the Girls Athletic Association, where she played softball. She graduated from Wilkes Central High School in 1963, where her senior quote was, "We know her by the noise she doesn't make." I found her yearbook years ago, and that quote has always resonated with me. My life has been shaped by knowing her by the noise she doesn't make. I've never figured out where that quote is from, despite as much research as my academic heart knows how to do. I thought I'd find some meaning in that, where the quote was from or who wrote it. All I've found since are the archives of other young women around the country using those same words as their senior quote. And that's okay too. After high school, she worked a variety of jobs, first at Holly Farms, then Schneider Mills, and lastly at Jones Fabric. Also right after high school, she married James Avery Billings on June 22, 1963, at his family home. They were married for 23 years until James' death on June 25, 1986. She was a caregiver to him throughout his life with type 1 diabetes and his experiences with kidney disease and dialysis. James loved gardening, and he and Tommy used to hunt ginseng. He was also the spark behind my mom's love of decorating for Christmas, but we haven't gotten to her yet, so I'll try to stay in chronological order. Their first child, James Richard Billings, was born on November 11, 1963. He was the apple of Martha's eye, and they named him after Richard Petty. He loved cars and working, especially Fords. From my knowledge, I heard about him burning my mother's Girl Scout uniform while she was still in it, and also telling their dad if he didn't buy her a dirt bike, Richard would buy it himself. I don't remember how, but she got the dirt bike. Richard was 19 when he was killed by a drunk driver on his way back from work. He'd taken a friend's overtime shift, and he wasn't even supposed to have been on the road. On August 10, 1965, Marcia Ann Billings was born, beginning the tradition of girls with M names that's continued through her generation and mine. She loved spending time with her online friends, listening to music, reading, and of course shopping. She was beyond devoted to the Twilight series. We read those books together, and we went to all the midnight movie premieres. Every time she'd pick us up from school, there'd be a Happy Meal waiting in the floorboard, and she and her husband Keith always took us to Carowinds every summer. But we don't exist yet in this narrative, so let's get back on track. Melissa Diane Billings, the baby of the family, was born September 1st, 1971. She's standing up here somewhere, I hope. You probably know her as Missy, even though she only goes by that name up here. I've been told Martha thought they were done with 2 kids, but James had other plans. She was a bit of an oops, and she and her mom are kind of alike in that way. I don't know what she was like as a child, but I assume she was petulant and got away with everything because she was the baby. If she tries to deny this, don't believe her.
Hi, Mommy.
Hi, Missy.
Are you having fun?
I'm having a ball. How's the newlyweds?
Oh.
After James and Richard had passed away, it was just the 3 of them, Martha, Marcia, and Missy. They moved to Hickory after Missy graduated from high school. The stories I've heard about that time in their lives are not necessarily appropriate to share in polite company. While working at John's Fabric, Marcia met Keith, and Martha met John Wayne Childers. Martha and John were married at the courthouse with literally no one else present on June 9th, 1989. They lived at Lake Hickory RV Resort, where I always remember them calling home. Here, Martha truly learned to enjoy life to the fullest. There were friends and community and over-the-top 4th of July celebrations with decorated golf carts. That was when Martha was the happiest, until we get to what I've been told was the best chapter of her life, her grandkids. There were 4 of us. Monica was born to Marcia and Keith on January 12, 1989. She passed away 12 days later due to health complications present at birth. Marissa was born to Melissa and Gary in 1997. That's me, by the way, and I'm the disembodied voice you've been hearing all this time. My sister Megan was stillborn June 13, 1999, and my brother Grayson was born July 26, 2000. I don't know what to say about us, honestly. As kids, he was deeply chaotic and I was deeply neurotic, and I think that's still true. But I love those trips to see Mama at the campground, and she watched me while Mom and Dad were at work from the time I was born until she got sick. She was diagnosed with stage 3 lung cancer, and she passed away way too soon at the age of 56. That was 22 years ago, on July 1st, 2002. While that day is difficult for us each year, we also find solace in the fact that she passed right before her favorite holiday. I always think the fireworks are for her. Now, I want to read something my mom wrote a few days ago on the 22nd anniversary of Martha's death. She said, "It took me a long time to get over the guilt of not being with her and to realize that I was doing exactly what she wanted me to do, and that was taking care of her grandbabies. I had spent so much time at the hospital with her over the last few months, and on that morning I just wanted to take the kids to breakfast and spend some quality time with them. As we were eating, I got a phone call telling me that I needed to get to the hospital because she had gotten worse. I made the decision to stay with the kids for a little while, not knowing that it would be too late when I arrived. She was one of the toughest women I've ever known, taking care of a chronically ill husband for most of their married life while working full-time and raising 3 children, trying to process the fact that her only son had been killed by a drunk driver at 19 years old, while keeping everyone else from falling apart. She always had a smile on her face and the most infectious laugh that truly did light up the room. She is greatly missed, but I rejoice in the fact that she's not in pain anymore and she's surrounded by loved ones in heaven. She is indeed surrounded, as both of her husbands, 2 of her children, and 2 of her grandchildren are there with her. Not to mention all the siblings and in-laws. When I imagine heaven, I always picture it very loud and crowded, full of people who all love each other so much. A while back, I asked some of you to share stories and memories of her, to describe her in one word. Those words felt pretty accurate to the way I remember her. Words like feisty, laughing, motherly, loved, kind, sweet, and devoted. The stories I got were some things I hadn't known and some things I had. That she told people Elvis Presley was her boyfriend, that she loved Richard Petty, that at Grandma's old house, she would crack black walnuts and put them in molasses candy, and she also made popcorn balls, that she loved to sunbathe when she was a teenager. When I remember her now, I think of a red Buick on a gravel driveway. Short shorts, tan legs, and pristine white sneakers. I think of the lake and golf carts and American flags. Since she passed away, we've remembered her in sunflowers and monarch butterflies that seem to follow me wherever I go. Most of all, though, it's the intangible that I remember her by, because I know her by the noise she doesn't make.